Good morning and welcome to the Dailies on Echo Television International, where we keep you updated with what's happening from our papers this morning. The tribunal will continue today. We'll be having the hearing of the Labour Party and the APP, and also we know that finally Adeleke have actually gotten his own. The court has ruled in favor of him. So there's rejoicing in Osun State. These and many other stories are what we will be looking at on the papers this morning. I am Sada Elisha Dasher, and of course Rachel Tassi is here too. Good morning.
Morning, Celia.
How you doing?
I'm fine. How about you?
I'm great, thank you. We are live on Facebook and YouTube. Please do well to drop your comment or contribution relevant to the stories we'll be looking at this morning. And you can also call us later on the show when we will open the phone lines. Let us go through the papers, starting with the Leadership newspaper.
On the Leadership newspaper, in 2023 Hajj, Dakon 4 Nigerian airlines signed airlift pact. Soludo, El Rufai, Sanusi, others tax Tinubu on restructuring. You can find the details on page 7. 57 Nigerians get Mandela Washington Fellowship. Vehicle imports crashed by 128% in the first quarter of 2023. Private jet owners worried over FAAM relocation notice. This is on the May 29, where we will have our Nigerian air up and running, hopefully. You can find the details on page 7. And on the 10th National Assembly, APC defense zoning, cites equity and inclusion. The big story ahead of inauguration, 2,585 appointees, 8 brace for job loss. You can find the details on page 4. There are points 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can find the details inside the paper. And on Osun governorship, Supreme Court dashes Ayatollah's hope. 16 killed in Akwa Ibom cult clash. Tony Blair, 2 U.S. governors, other 4 governors-elect induct. The details you can find on page 6, and that's all the news on Leadership newspaper.
On Daily Independent newspaper, federal government approves Transcorp Power as preferred bidder for Abuja discourse with the rider Usibanjo Commission. Transcorp affirm 240 megawatts fast power. You can read more of that. We saw that on the papers when they issued the certificate. PDP explained why it insists on live broadcast of tribunal proceeding. Atiku PDP governors congratulate Adeleke. You can find more inside the paper as well. And the big story, Buhari canvasses support for Adeleke's programs in Osun with a rider as Supreme Court affirmed his election as governor. Jubilation in Osun as Adeleke dedicates victory to God. Says will of the people has survived anti-masses forces. You can find that too on page 29. 2023 election most hard-fought competitive race coming from Bajabia Miller says power to oversight not an invitation to conflict. Presidential election court adjourned Atiku PDP APM cases to May 11, which is tomorrow. Buhari to address new and returning governors at the NGF induction. Former American governors to attend too. You can find that on page 6. And on inauguration, FAN orders airlines to relocate aircraft from Abuja airport. RT200 exporter repatriate $7.3 billion in 18 months coming from the CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele, with the rider CBN to publish beneficiaries of non-oil export rebate payments. Downside, we have Nigeria and others contribute 97% of global preventable maternal mortality. You can find that on page 6. We have a picture story over there. We can see the CBN governor Dangote in view of with other people also there. So you can do well to grab the Daily Independent, read more details of stories that have interested you this morning.
On this day newspaper, RT200 initiative boosted non-oil exports by 40% in 2022, $1.7 billion inflow recorded in the first quarter of 2023. These are all facts and details coming from Emefiele. Threatens to sanction shipping companies engaging in smuggling. Apex banks to begin publishing names of beneficiaries of the RT200 rebate. Banks demand tax clearance certificate on FX transactions. The details can be found on page 10. INEC APC Tinubu may oppose live broadcast of proceedings. Federal government approves acquisition of Abuja Discos by Transcorp Consortium, and you can find the details on page 12. And the big story, Adeleke survives as Supreme Court affirms his election. PDP Buhari Tinubu celebrate. The writer following that, President urges citizens to team up with governor to develop state. I will govern with God's fear. This is a statement from Adeleke promising and says verdict is historic. It's evident Beavers has come to stay, Atiku declares. You can find the details on page 14. And we have a picture story for the RT200 non-oil export summit, and that's all the news on this day newspaper.
Richard, before we move further, let's just take a look at this non-oil export and then looking at the fact that Initiate boosted non-oil export by 40% in 2022. I was privileged to go through the Federal Inland Revenue magazine, and for the first quarter of 2022, I got to realize that non-oil sector actually even generated more than the oil sector.
Revenue.
And then we should just take a look at the entirely. And I think you and I have been talking about the fact that if we take a look at, we've been neglecting the non-oil sectors for a very long time and giving so much attention on the oil sector. And yet we've seen that for each time Nigeria goes into recession, the non-oil sector, always, especially agriculture, has always been the one bailing us out. So I'm happy to see a summit like this holding in that regard. And I hope that we take this summit very, very seriously, because, okay, if you even look at it today, according to the Federal Inland Revenue, has been slated as a day to pay your tax, pay as you earn. So automatically everybody's supposed to go remit their tax, but then you begin to ask questions with all the tax I'm paying as I earn. And I remember you always making reference to even as even the biscuit a child will buy, he's paying tax already. So well, I just think that it's high time the CBN will be in collaboration with all these non-oil sectors, and let us see what we'll be able to generate from this sector, because there's a lot of money lying out there. There's a lot of gold lying there. We're just sitting and working on so much, and then we're yet to realize what we discover from that. Because if you see the margin between what the non-oil sector has been able to get and what the oil sector, you know that there is a serious gap between these two sectors, and we are seeing a place where we are still battling whether we'll be paying for a subsidy or not, fixing our refineries or not, and then looking at us paying over 8 trillion naira for for subsidy. You know that we really need to sit down and think hard if we really want to move forward as a country. So I'm happy for a summit like this coming up, and I hope that we don't take this summit lightly, but that we'll do what is expected of us to do if we really need to grow as a country at a time like this.
Yes, oil is very good, there's no doubt. However, it doesn't evolve as fast as other sector, and that's what pains me the most about our economy, the fact that we depend so much on oil when we have other sectors, most especially the agriculture, and we can leave agriculture, we can go to natural minerals and resources and all of that, and the endless things that could come out of our agriculture. When you look at the way agri have transformed over the years, oil hasn't seen that kind of transformation. The way farming have changed, the way even seeds have changed, the way crops are planted are no longer the way they are, but we still have the same procedure coming for oil, and you wonder why is Nigeria focusing so much on oil and not tapping into all these other sectors, all this other wealth we have. that can make us billions and even compete with the oil if only we can give it the attention that it's needed. We have things like renewable energy, and Nigeria, we are not even tapping into that a little bit, and we are still sitting down and waiting for oil. And we're in a situation where you don't decide how much or how much, like the price of your oil. And we can see that OPEC has been struggling since last year up till today with the falling and the rising of the oil price per barrel. And you can see that they've brought out measures that they've even reduced how much countries should be giving as their own quota, just to make sure that the oil price per barrel can go high. And these are things that affect, meaning that when it comes to oil, we can't even depend on its revenue, because it might fall, it might increase, so there is not even balance as it is if we will talk about oil money. But we're talking about agriculture, where we can invest in it. We can have not only raw materials but finished goods, and it just has endless potential compared to oil, if we will tell ourselves the truth. And we will not even talk about the solid minerals we have that we are even yet to discover. We don't even know how much of it we have and what we can do with it yet. So I'm really looking forward to an economy where we can say oil has done its best for us. It's time that we look at the real gold mine we have in this country, because we will keep saying there was a time we didn't know oil and Nigeria thrived without oil. And we can keep thriving without oil. You know, oil should be like a side hustle for us. Yeah, it should be like a side hustle. Like,
and we're beginning to make it the main job. I remember you mentioning the fact that we have tourism that we're yet to even tap into.
We are yet to.
I think last year we saw the issue whether we want to go into cashew way back as cash crops. A lot of things are actually lying down.
And everything grows in Nigeria. Everything, except if we are not just ready to farm it, but everything literally grows in this country. So we'll keep talking about it. We cannot overemphasize, because these are the things that we need the government to do, and they need to know that we know they can do it. We're watching them, let them do the job. It's a lot of work, but it is a work that we can do as a country.
Because I'm scared the day these oil wells will dry up, something will not be going well with us. Well, let's go on to the Blueprint newspaper. The 10th House of Assembly, North Central Senators elect Dugwa Bitiri Wasi, dear APC, with the rider Bajabian Miller rigs impeachment over doctored House rules. You can find that on page 6. Buhari on Supreme Court verdict. It's time to end recruiting, develop Osun State. PDP congratulates Adeleke, APC concede. Beavers technology have come to stay, coming from Atiku. Revalidation of my mandate, call to duty, coming from Osun Governor. Necon local airlines retreats on 2023 hatch operations. You can find on page 8. Tribunal moves PDP APM's pre-hearing to Thursday. And we have Nigerians borrowing from World Bank hits $14.34 billion in the first quarter of 2023. NECO reschedules 2023 entrance exam into Suleja Academy. You can find that on page 15. And we have Airtel renews Nigeria Spectrum license with 58.7 billion naira. You can find that too on page 22, and that's all on Blueprint newspaper.
On Daily Sun newspaper, senators elect push for Kalu and Yari ticket. 18 North Central lawmakers elect reject APC zoning. You can find the details on page 8. And on presidential election, tribunal entertains Atiku's pre-hearing petition tomorrow. The writer following that says Tinubu asks court to dismiss APM suit against his victory. Pro-democracy group tax CGN on fair judgment. Nigeria's electricity market could be among world's best. Federal government chooses Transcorp as Abuja Disco. Sudan crisis, NITCOM confirms return of 1,730 evacuees on 9 flights. I was deprived of 1,072 votes in Kanu East. Enugu governor-elect fails tribunal. Seplat holds AGM today in compliance with court order. Buhari Blair Okonjo-Iweala to speak at induction of new returning governors. Reps adjourned plenary to May 16. You can find the details on page 6. Jubilation in Osun as Supreme Court affirms Adeleke governor. Governor dedicates victory to God as Buhari solicits support for him. You can find the details on page 26. At the downside of the paper, 1,441 killed in road crashes in 3 months. This is a report coming from the FRSC. You can find the details on page 5. We have a picture story. Governor Dapo Abiodun of Ogun State, MD Transit Gas Nigeria Limited, Bolaji Osunsanya, MD NNPC Gas Marketing Limited, Justin Ezela, Executive Vice President NNPC Gas Power and New Energies Division, Abdul Kabir Ahmed, and Leken of Ibefun Obagidion Adetoyo during commissioning of Ibefun Natural Gas City Gate in Ibofun yesterday. And that's all the news on Daily Sun newspaper.
On the Vanguard newspaper, still on 10th House of Assembly leadership crisis rock APC over zoning of Senate President and Speaker, with the rider NWC divided over micro-zoning of position. North Central insists on speakership slot. Northwest seeks Senate presidency. 18 North Central senators elect kick. NWC divided. Oyebaje Ekiti senators elect back Apabio. Southeast APC group hails party's decision. Baji men go after members elect for signatures. Freshers form new Durham movement as Wasi Adodugwa and others meet. National Assembly members elect will determine their leaders coming from PDP and the Labour Party. New rules favoring open balloting rise thus. Let me read a little detail of that story. The aspirant for the office of the Speaker of the House of Representatives in the coming 10th National Assembly, who are aggrieved with the zoning plan of the All Progressive Congress, are grouping against the party's adopted candidate. Top contenders for the Speaker's seat, some of whom are in the current leadership of the 9th House, oppose the move by the APC to announce consensus candidate without due consultation with stakeholders in the chamber. The National Working Committee of the APC had on Monday officially announced a former minority leader of the Senate and immediate past Minister of the Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Godwill Akpabio, from the South-South as its consensus candidate for the position of the President of the Senate. Chairman of the Senate Committee on Appropriations, Senator Baru Jibrin, from the Northwest, was nominated for the position of the Deputy President of the Senate. In the House, the seat of Speaker was zoned to the Northwest with Abbas as a consensus candidate. The Southeast clinched the slot of the Deputy Speaker with the Chairman of the House Committee on Media and Public Affairs, Benjamin Kalu, emerging as the party's candidate. Nevertheless, the current chairman of the House Committee on Appropriation, Aliyu Bitri, APC from Borno, amidst report of the zoning plan released by the NWC of the APC, officially declared his speakership bid in Abuja on Monday night. So you can do well to grab the Vanguard, read more detail of the, the pickering taking place over there. RT200 repatriation of export proceed rise 40% to $5.6 billion coming from Godwin Emefiele. You can find that story on page 19. Telcos right National Assembly demand flag down of the new NITDA bill. And on presidential inauguration, federal government orders airlines to relocate planes from Abuja terminal. Supreme Court affirmed Adeleke duly elected Osun governor. And we also have the picture story here still showing of the CBN at the Non-Oil Export Economy Summit. Other stories on the paper: Buhari commissions affirm 3 power plants, and military onslaught, terrorists flee Zamfara, invade Katsina villages. You can find that on page 6. Tinubu seeks dismissal of AMP's petition, says it lacks merit, with the rider seeks time to react to Atiku's request for live coverage. Court adjourned hearing till Thursday. You can find on page 8. Again, herdsmen storm Benue communities, kill 3, injure many. I really wonder what's happening. I hope something will be done about that. We have some column for Baba Ahmed, Efe Baba Lola, and also for sports. So you can grab the Vanguard, read more details of story that of interest to you.
On Nigerian Tribune, Transcorp's 240 megawatt Afan power plant inaugurated. Encourage exporters repatriate $1.7 billion to Nigeria in 3 months. This is coming from the CBN. Adegunodo, PDP Southwest Zonal Vice Chairman, is dead. You can find the details on page 5. Owolowo's 36th memorial service. Nothing can erase Owolowo's name. This is coming from the Anglican Bishop. Japa wouldn't be order of the day if Nigeria had Owolowo-like leaders, he says. You can find the details inside the paper. And on speakership race, Wase Dogoa Betara push for consensus candidate as 6 frontline aspirants meet. Northeast Elders Youth Forum insists on Betara. NNPP Senator-elect kicks against zoning by APC. The details you can find on page 8. Presidential election court, why we insist on live broadcast of proceedings. The PDP saying why says party has a water right case against APC. APC Tinubu wants APM's petition dismissed. Supreme Court affirms Adeleke's victory. Buhari, Tinubu, Atiku, and others congratulate him. And that's all the news on Nigerian Tribune.
On the Punch newspaper, with the big story, presidential poll, tribunal to consider PDP Labour Party's live broadcast request, with the writer broadcasting proceeding live is of national importance. Atiku's legal team and the Labour Party insist. Justice promises speedy treatment of the man. APC vows appropriate response. And let me read a little detail of that story. The Presidential Election Petition Tribunal on Tuesday gave an indication that it will consider the prayer of the People's Democratic Party and the Labour Party's demand for a live broadcast of its proceeding. The tribunal, presided over by Justice Haruna, asked the parties in the ongoing petitions to settle and decide on their objections, including the motion on notice filed by the PDP and its standard bearer Atiku Abubakar requesting for the live broadcast of the Presidential Tribunal proceeding, which began on Monday. Haruna gave the directive during Tuesday's hearing when the matter was raised by counsel for the PDP and Atiku, Chris Uche San. Speaking at the resumed pre-hearing session, the head of the 5-man panel assured that the application for a live broadcast of the proceeding will be considered together with other issues. The PDP and Atiku, in an application dated May 5th, argued that televising the court sitting will enhance transparency and boost citizens' confidence in the judicial process. The PDP and Atiku are challenging the victory of the President-elect Bola Tinubu in the February 25th presidential election on the grounds that the Independent National Electoral Commission failed to electronically upload the election result as of the time the winner was declared. The respondent in the petition marked CA PEPC 05-2023 are the INEC, Tinubu, and the APC. So you can grab the Punch and read more detail of what the court is, hoping to do and how the tribunal is going. Other stories on the Punch coming from the Speaker. 5 aggrieved aspirants team up against Abbas. You can find on page 7. Otitola forms over Transcorp deal. Olumi keeps mom. You can find that on page 31. Over $200 billion in national asset lost to terrorism coming from the federal government. And we have the picture story, final victory. Buhari Tinubu congratulates Adeleke, supporters jubilate. You can see a cross-section of the stories of the pictures showing them. 15 die in Sokoto boat accident, 25 missing. You can find more of that inside. And from a human angle story, we have Lagos bishop raped me twice, coming from a female pastor. You can do well to read more detail of that story on page 4 and 5. And we have federal government orders private jets removal from Abuja airport. You can find detail also of that story on page 25, and that's all on the Punch newspaper.
On the Guardian newspaper, amid 168% tariff hike in 8 years, Nigerians pay premium for unavailable electricity. Non-oil exporters receive 144 billion naira rebates in 14 months. Beavers to the rescue, Supreme Court affirms Adeleke Osun governor. Concern over electricity generation as terrorists eye national infrastructure. You can find the details on page 6. Outrage over abduction, forceful conversion of 14-year-old Esther to Islam in Kaduna. Reps adjourn admit alleged rule of forgery in favor of Abbas. You can find the details on page 3, and that's all the news on the Guardian newspaper.
Well, it's really sad, Richard, with the huge amount we're paying for electricity. And then we're not even seeing the electricity. It's very sad, I was really trying to get the story clearly. Concerns over electricity generation as terrorists eye national infrastructure. Of course, they have been eyeing it for a long time. Look at the destruction of our infrastructures that all these terrorists have been doing. Truly, it's sometimes when you see certain stories on our papers, it breaks your heart and you begin to ask questions. Especially, let's take a look at those using the prepaid meter, and then little or nothing is being done. Let's look at even those that don't even have the prepaid meter. Keep paying, and then you don't see electricity, and then a bill is being given to you, and then you wonder, wait, when and how did this come up? So I just hope that the Minister of Power that will be appointed soon, I just hope he realizes there's a lot to be done. If we're having power plants that are idle, let's see how can we put them to work. And then how can we now look into making sure that more people have electricity? Because with the way petrol is going, and then you have to rely on it, especially for all the small and medium scale enterprises that are coming up. They really need this electricity at least to support them, so that the little profit you're making, you don't end up using it to keep buying, and then you really can't record anything at the end of the day. Let's go back to our household. You need electricity for virtually almost most things we do in the house. So I just hope we look into what we can do, because the hike in 8 years is really, really very, very, it's over 100% hike. So something should be done, and I hope the government is really, really planning to do just that.
I think the challenge when it comes to electricity is the privatization, because whether we like it or not, when you privatize something as important as electricity, now we know how the private system works when it comes to business. It's more about profit. If you know how the the private system of the economy works, is that it's mainly about profit. And I keep saying the difference with the government or the social system is that there's a lot of subsidies so that the common man will be able to afford basic needs. And now we've been seeing that the tariff had been going high and high and high over the years for a very short period of time. There was once a time you could get over 34 units of electricity for 1,000 naira. It went down to 21 units, it went down to 19, it went down to 16, and now you can only get 13 units for 1,000 naira, meaning we are buying a unit of electricity for at least 70 naira. It's just a matter of time before it gets to 100 naira, and before we know it is 150, before we know it's 200, and you can only imagine how high it keeps going. And the question is, what is the government doing about it? Because one thing I know is that there should be a price ceiling for certain goods consumed regardless of what is happening, and then we need these companies telling us why are these tariffs going on, what is influencing, what are the factors affecting this tariff that they keep going this high. Because electricity is not a want, it is a basic need. And then if you put it in such a situation that it becomes really tight for people to afford it, then you are making it a luxury rather than a basic need that everybody should be able to access it. So I'm just really looking forward to where the government steps in and asks and does the needful. No need to ask questions. We don't need to ask to know why. No, do the needful. That is, we need these tariffs to stop going high, and above all, they need to come down and go by to a place to imagine where it's not, electricity shouldn't be a one, because the moment it becomes that expensive, it makes it look like it's some luxury, whereas it's not supposed to be like that. So I just hope something is being done about this hike in the price of tariff and all of that, because it's beginning to be very outrageous.
Of course, Rachel. Well, before we move further, a lot of things are going on from the papers. We've seen the court is hoping to, give room to maybe to broadcast the tribunal. And then also we've seen that finally Adeleke has actually regained back his mandate. So there was jubilation and rejoicing. And also we've seen a lot of stories on the paper. So we'll love you to make a comment about whether your thoughts are when we come back from the break. So please do not go anywhere, stay tuned with us. Thanks for staying tuned. It's still the Daily on your winning station. We've been taking you down various stories I've been making the head on our papers this morning. We've seen Adeleke has finally regained his mandate back. The court ruled it in favor of him yesterday. There was jubilation. We're having a little bitterness, or will I say a little confusion, or people are not really happy, especially looking at the 10th House of Assembly. Some people are really aggrieved, so things are really going a little bit heated, but we hope that they will be able to come to an understanding concerning the consensus. Also on the paper this morning, we've seen there have been a hike in electricity of about 168%, which is very high. And the federal government looking at terrorists actually causing confusion, especially when concerning the infrastructure. So a lot of stories actually, making the lead on our paper this morning. We'd love to hear from you. What are your comments? What are your thoughts concerning any of the stories? And then please do remember to turn down the volume of your TV set when we call us. We are really interested in what you have to say this morning. And other viewers too will love to hear from you. And then let's remember to be very civil with our language. No use of curse words whatsoever. Let's just go straight to the point. You have just 30 seconds, please, to air your views, as other callers will also love to air their views concerning stories of interest to them too. Yeah, okay, I have a call already on the line. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Mrs. Saleh. Good morning, Mrs. Richards. This is Sam calling from Buhari.
All right,
But may I start by giving you people compliment for today. Your costume today is top notch.
Thank
and
you.
I'm very impressed with it. Thank you, and do have a good morning. Now I want to react to the headline this morning. You have just paraphrased all the problem that the host, the headline today center on, from insecurity to petroleum to even electricity. Come to think of it, the whole of this thing boils down to leadership failures. Okay, you can imagine the daily killing by herdsmen, Fulani herdsmen. I want to ask, if it were the herdsmen that is at the receiving end of all this killing here and there, would Asoro still remain mute the way they are? This is the question Nigeria should be asking ourselves. And again, does your ethnics, your spoken language make you, or your faith makes you a more Nigerian than any other persons? Absolutely no. A Nigerian is a Nigerian, irrespective of your tongues and religious leaning. But why is it? Today, many of us, the politicians are trying to share political position for themselves. The North Central to be the Southeast or whatever. But there are families that are willing, all that they have in this world, somebody came and killed their families and this thing. But nobody is talking about. The president has left another abroad to stay extra 1 week. The one that they haven't said president has also left. Now, the president saying abroad will cost Nigeria not only in his personal distance, but the hanging of the plane and so many other things, the cost of bet on Nigeria. So how do we continue along along these directions? Okay, look at today, even the terrorists that are now aiming at our infrastructure, more than 200 billions lost to insurgents. But how many of these insurgents are standing trial? We have heard that a lot of their suppliers have been arrested. Why are they not giving info on where these people are? Why is the Sambisa forest too large that we cannot use air and ground forces to be able to raid and remove the whole of these people? This country belongs to all of us, and we cannot continue this way. I'm happy to know that Adeleke has reclaimed his own mandate in Osun State. This is because the election was based on numerical. And this is what we're saying with the numerical is the way to go. And this is where the beavers and riders is very, very important. Why APC were insisting that those who voted are more than they accredited, the court is saying that no, as long as you are a registered voter in that place, you are entitled, whether you are accredited before the election or not. And we're happy to know this. We hope that this goodwill will have a bearing on the presidential petition now that is ongoing, and at the end of the day, Nigeria will be better for this. I wish you people a very good deliberation this morning. Thank you
so much, Mr. Sam. You do have a blessed day too. You know, a lot is happening, Rachel. So we hope that we'll look inwardly and do more. Sure. Well, let's take a look at, or we'd like to make a comment before we move. All right, let's take a look at the New Telegraph newspaper. Still on the RT200 forex repatriation, rise 40% to $5.6 billion. You can find more of that inside the paper with the writer. CBN may penalize shipping firms over undocumented cargoes. And we also have federal government secure waivers for 89 abandoned power equipment. You can find detail on page 18. Other stories here coming from Osinbajo. Buhari government has increased power supply in Nigeria. Commission affirmed 3 fast power 240. All right. Hello. Good morning.
Thank you.
Please go on, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I want to react to the headline on the victory of Adeleke, Osun governor. I want to congratulate him for this victory, which is the victory of his people. And I wish him well in doing his administration. But I want to advise him of one thing, that while he spends public money to execute project, he should avoid the temptation of going to the media to advertise what he's doing. I'm sure that those who are from Osun, they live with him. And those who are in other states, they travel home to see what he's doing. Let him not go the way of Governor Wike, who on daily basis is on TV showcasing his achievements. That's a waste of the government resources. So that is my advice for him, and I wish him well in this first tenure. And if he does well, I'm sure the Osun people will return him back for a second time. Good luck to him. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, sir, for that beautiful comment, and we hope the governor has actually heard your advice and will possibly look into it. Still a New Telegraph newspaper, no rate of communities killing of civilians by military, coming from General Abdul Wada, telling the NHRC panel. You can find on page 28. God's presence in government house, my greatest asset, coming from Governor Kowa. You can find that on page 5. Jury finds Trum guilty of sexual abuse and defamation, cleared him of rape to pay $5 million fine. You can find more of that international story on page 8. The big story, BVN has 10-year lifespan, says the CBN DMO's website, as concerns mount over BVN expiring date. Those issued in 2014 will have to be re-enrolled, revalidated next year. BVN enrollment stood at 57,500. Okay, 57,431,355 as of March 31st, 2023, coming from the CBN governor. RMAFC seek pay raise for Tinubu and governors. I think we saw this from last year. A pay raise for governors and other, and I said, let's start from the my personal opinion. Well, I felt that they might need a pay raise, but then in a place where we're looking at the welfare of Nigerians as a whole, don't we think it will be wise to actually start by looking at the pay raise of Nigerians? Because honestly, Rachel, if you take a look at the money some of our public office holders are taking home, honestly, it's not fair.
It's not.
Because the money is quite high. Some of them don't even make any meaningful contribution to their state or to their constituencies that they are representing. You don't even hear anything from them. Some of them, from the very first day they got into that position till the day they leave, not even one bill was passed in favor of, you know. And you ask questions, and then you take such a huge amount of allowances just to see, just for this. So yes, we know that possibly it's on they're doing this because they feel that let them not get tempted to do the wrong things. But then we have so many other people. I feel that we should also look in the welfare. Yeah, we saw that there is going to be pay raise for federal government workers, but what about state workers? What about local government workers? Is there going to be pay raise for them? We're looking at the welfare of our teachers. How are they taken care of? As who are still having demands that are yet to be met. Doctors are saying they are going on strike. JAPA is still on the, you know, a lot of things are happening. So I'm just hoping, honestly, that let us have a review again on certain things, certain policies that we are setting. And I believe that when we really do that with the interest of Nigeria, not a few people, Nigeria will grow, because we have all that it takes to grow at the end of the day.
Sele, in my opinion, they don't need a pay raise. And the simple reason is that you made mention of it is the allowance, Sele. I, as a common man, when I get paid, every of my basic needs come out from my pay. But when we talk about these governors and senators and everybody in key position, they don't pay for their transportation, they don't pay for their feeding, they don't pay for the help in their houses. When they're traveling anywhere, they don't pay for it. When they need to go for work, they don't pay for it. They don't pay for their security. They don't pay for... These are all responsibilities, expenses that are saddled by the government. So what are they needing the pay raise for? If I should demand for a pay raise, perhaps because I pay for everything from my pocket, and we can see that there is an increase in the like in the prices of commodities and good and all of that is understood. But we're talking about people in positions that every basic needs of theirs, they don't pay for the utility bills in their houses, they don't pay for anything, they don't even pay for luxury when they want to travel, when these are all the things that the government cater for them. So what are you needing the pay raise for if we are going to be, because apart from the government paying for all of these things, you also have allowances for every other thing possible. So in my opinion, Sally, I believe that if we are having civil servants asking for pay raise because we can see the crisis, financial crisis going on in the country, the fuel price, the food price hike in the market, and all of that is understood, but not governors and senators and honorables in the House of Representatives, that the government pays for every needs of theirs, including their ones.
All right. Hello, sir. Good morning. Sorry, Rachel.
Can I make contribution of it?
All right, please go on, sir, with your contribution. Hello, sir. We're with you.
All right. Good morning. My take is on this electricity bill, and I want to use it to also talk on the on subsidy removal. Just like as my sister there was talking about the politicians. You see, politicians, everything they do, they are on subsidy. Because you see, they have allowance in everything they do. They travel, they have allowance. That's a subsidy, not to pay much. Their cleaning is allowance. Their staff is allowance. Their equipment they use in the house is allowance. They change their cars is allowance. All these things are subsidy from government so that they won't pay from their main salary. So, but if you come to things that concern the public, then they say they will remove the subsidy. Imagine the electricity, like in the place I am, we have a twin flat, and the electricity bill there is 37,000 naira a month for twin flat of 2 people living there. But you find out that these politicians, they don't pay anything. So my own take this morning is that if they are not putting any subsidy on what concerns the public, let them remove all these allowances for politicians, so that whatever money they are paid, they use it to pay also as all of us pays. That's my take this morning. Good morning.
All right, thank you so much.
Yeah, so Stella, just as I was saying, that's just it, Stella. You can't be asking for increase of pay when you basically, your basic salary, you don't spend it on your basic needs or want. The government are responsible for all of that. I believe, I keep saying that, I keep seeing us taking decisions as a country that feels like we don't want to grow, to be honest, because this looks like a backward mentality. When you are asking, when people are struggling for different kinds of things in the country, you're sitting down thinking of your stomach that is already well fed, but you're still wanting more. This is gluttony when it comes to like income and earning and all of that. So I'm just looking forward to where the people in key positions, our lawmakers, our governors, our senators, the members of the House of Representatives would take real decisions that look like they want Nigeria to grow. As far as I'm concerned, this doesn't look like a decision of growth.
All right, of course. So I'm hoping on the papers to see what we are hoping to do with the 100 and all right. Hello, good morning. Hello, what's the name? Where are you calling from?
Program that is on air now live about the review of the newspaper. And I speak.
Yes, you can speak.
Please turn down the volume of your TV set, sir.
Hello?
Please turn down the volume of your
Hello?
TV set.
Okay. I've done that.
All right, please go on with your contribution.
I've done that.
All right, go on with what you have to say, sir.
Can I speak on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. There is a program here that is on air now live. I'm
Yes.
watching from my house. Yes, I'm a public servant. Should I go on?
Yes,
Yes.
sir, please do.
Yes. And what the problem in this country, we public servants have, is affecting us much. So this increase of things and the decrease of salary, some of us were even when you even there is an increase in salary, it takes years before they implement it. The arrears, they will just eat everything, not even to the arrears, and things are escalating. The problem in this country are the problem of these politicians, because they are receiving allowances in everything, and they don't care about the down road, the public or the people that are cleaning their toilet and doing everything. And that is why they click to power. They don't want to use that office, knowing what they are doing, and they don't care about others. So this is a very worrisome. And if things continue like this, I don't know where we are going. Things they should look into it. And they know that the common man is suffering. They talk of 30% salary increase up to today. Some states have not implemented it. The 40% they are talking now, it will take years, and as they are trying to implement it, things are skyrocketing. Things you bought 5 naira in those days. I remember when we were buying something 5 naira, 25 naira, but now 50 naira will soon be rent. So that is my own opinion. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, sir. So just like everyone else is saying, we are hoping to see what the government is hoping to do with the 133 million on, or like talk about poverty rates.
Yeah.
Because we have about 40% unemployment as it is right now.
Yeah.
So what are we hoping to do about that? Well, let's quickly round up on New Telegraph. We have PT, we have watertight evidence against Tinubu, APC coming from the PDP, and we have Supreme Court affirms Adeleke as Osun governor. 2 years after bandits released 3 more FGC Birni Uri students. You can find that on page 7. And on the 10th House Assembly leadership candidate in position violates section 50 subsection 1b of the 1999 constitution, coming from a group. Downside, we have a study that says post sleep can increase stroke risk. So for those who don't sleep well, do well to read more of the story. On page 23, we still have a cross-section of the storm where we have the summit, the non-oil summit that is holding, where we can see Dangote, CBN, governor, and many other stakeholders there. So you can do well, grab the new Telegraph and read more detail of story stuff interest to you. And I think that's how far we can go on the program this morning. Thank you so much,
Always
Rachel.
a pleasure, Sarah.
Thank you to all our callers that call in this morning. We're truly grateful. Thank you to our supporters. Thank you to our viewers. Thank you also to our producer, the crew members, and everybody that make this program a success. Until we come your way again, please do remember to have a blessed day ahead.